The stars were silent, and the human ship drifted between them like a small shadow in the endless dark. Captain Ryan Cole had been alone for weeks, mapping empty systems far beyond human space. The hum of the engine and the blinking lights on the dashboard were his only company. He was used to silence. He was used to loneliness. But this night was different. A sudden sound cut through the silence. Beep, 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 a signal. Weak, broken, almost dying. His eyes snapped to the screen. It was not human code. The frequency was strange, almost like a whisper coming through static. He leaned closer, adjusting the controls. The sound grew sharper, like someone calling for help. Impossible, Ryan whispered. There's no one out here. He checked his maps again. No colonies, no stations, no ships. This was empty space. Yet the signal kept calling, broken but desperate, like a heartbeat struggling to go on. His heart began to race. Whoever it was, they were in trouble. And they were close. Ryan set a new course following the faint direction of the signal. His ship cut through the black void, moving toward a small green world hidden by clouds. The planet was thick with jungle, its surface alive with storms and lightning. Not the kind of place humans had ever touched. But the signal was there. He could feel it. His ship entered the atmosphere, shaking as thunder rolled across the sky. Rain hit the windows like stones. The forest below stretched forever, dark, wet, and dangerous. His scanners found wreckage deep in the trees, metal twisted and burned. A crash site. That was the source of the signal. He landed carefully on a patch of open ground. The rain swallowed the sound of his engines as he stepped outside, wearing his armored suit. The air was heavy and thick. Strange glowing plants lit the ground. The jungle was alive with alien sounds, clicks, growls, and whispers in the dark. Ryan tightened his grip on his rifle and moved forward. The crash site was only a few hundred meters away. He pushed through vines and giant leaves until he saw it. A broken alien ship half buried in the mud, smoke rising from its wounds. The hull glowed with symbols he did not recognize. The air smelled of burning metal and blood. Cautiously, Ryan entered through a torn section of the hull. Inside was chaos. Sparks flew from broken wires. Seats were shattered. The walls were painted with glowing blood. He thought for a moment that no one could have survived. Then he heard it. A faint breath. A soft cry. He turned quickly and saw her. A young alien girl lay trapped under a fallen beam. Her skin glowed faint blue in the dark, patterns like living light flowing across her arms. Her eyes, large and bright, opened slowly as she saw him. Fear and pain filled her gaze. For a second, Ryan froze. He had seen many aliens during his service, but never one like her. She was fragile, almost human in form, yet marked by beauty that did not belong to Earth. She tried to speak, but only a broken sound came from her lips. Without thinking, Ryan dropped his rifle and rushed to her side. He pushed against the heavy beam. His muscles burned and the rain mixed with sweat on his face. At last, the beam rolled away and she gasped for air. Her chest rose and fell quickly, her glowing skin flickering like a dying flame. "Easy, easy now," he whispered, even though he knew she could not understand him. He opened his pack and pulled out a medical kit. Carefully, he cleaned her wounds and patched the cuts. Her blood was not red but silver, shining under the dim light. As he worked, she kept her eyes on him, watching every move, as if trying to decide whether to fear him or trust him. When he touched her arm, something strange happened. The symbols on the walls of the ship lit up, glowing as if alive. Broken screens flickered to life and alien words scrolled across them. The entire wreck seemed to recognize his touch. Ryan froze in shock. He had done nothing but help her, yet the ship answered him. The alien girl's eyes widened. She whispered in a weak, broken voice, one word that sent chills down his spine. "Chosen." The lights of the wreck grew brighter, and somewhere deep in the jungle a roar echoed through the night. The ground shook beneath his feet. Ryan looked around, gripping his rifle once more. Whatever was out there had heard the signal too, and it was coming. The jungle was alive with sound. Heavy rain poured through the broken roof of the alien ship, dripping onto the glowing floor. Captain Ryan Cole tightened the straps of his pack and looked at the injured alien girl lying before him. She was weak, but her eyes still followed his every move. Outside, something roared again. The sound was closer this time. The ground shook as if something heavy was moving through the forest. Ryan's training told him one thing. He had to move, and fast. He knelt beside her. "We can't stay here," he whispered, though he knew she did not understand his words. Carefully, he lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected, her glowing skin giving off a faint warmth. For a brief moment, he wondered how such a fragile being could survive on a dangerous world like this. The wreckage behind him hissed and sparked as he stepped outside. The rain slapped against his helmet visor. The jungle was darker now as storm clouds covered the moonlight. Ryan moved quickly, pushing through the tall plants, carrying her close against his chest. Every sound in the jungle felt sharper. The snap of branches, the hiss of unseen creatures, the low growl of predators following in the shadows. Then he heard it. Footsteps. Heavy. Many of them. He stopped. His rifle swung over his shoulder as he crouched low, eyes scanning the undergrowth. Shapes moved between the trees. Eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Something was stalking them. Suddenly a creature leapt out. It was huge, reptilian, with armored scales and sharp claws that glistened in the rain. Its mouth opened wide, revealing rows of jagged teeth. The alien girl let out a weak cry, her arms tightening around Ryan's neck. Ryan reacted fast. His rifle roared, sending bright bursts of fire into the creature's chest. The beast screeched in pain, stumbling backward. But more shapes appeared behind it, 2, 3, then 4 more. They hissed, spreading out to surround him. He backed away slowly, keeping his weapon ready. His human training told him to fight, but his mind told him to run. He could not fight them all while carrying her. "Hold on," he muttered to the girl. He turned and sprinted through the jungle, his boots splashing mud, branches whipping against his armor. The alien girl clung to him tightly, her glowing skin lighting the path in small pulses. Behind them, the creatures roared, crashing through the trees, chasing with terrifying speed. Ryan spotted a cluster of giant roots rising from the ground like walls. He dove into the narrow space between them, crouching low, his body shielding the girl. The creatures thundered past, their heavy steps shaking the earth. He held his breath, waiting, listening. Minutes passed. Slowly, the jungle fell quiet again. The only sound was the rain and the girl's faint breathing. Ryan lowered his rifle and looked at her. She was trembling, her eyes wide with fear, but she had not let go of him. He reached into his pack again, pulling out a ration bar. He broke it into pieces and offered it to her. She hesitated, staring at it, then slowly reached out with shaking hands. She bit into it, her glowing eyes softening as she tasted the food. "See?" he whispered, his voice calm. "Not all bad," she tried to speak again. Her words were broken, heavy with an accent he could not place. But one word came out clear. "Safe." Ryan frowned. Did she understand what it meant? Or was she just repeating? Either way, the sound of that word struck deep inside him. As the storm eased, Ryan carried her further into the forest. Hours seemed to pass. The jungle grew thicker, the glowing plants brighter. Strange flying creatures circled above, their wings humming like machines. He kept moving, step after step, until he found shelter under a wide cliffside. There he set her down gently on dry ground. Her wounds looked better after his treatment, but her strength was still fading. He took off his helmet, letting the cool rain wash his face. Then he looked at her again, studying the glowing lines across her skin. They shifted slowly, like rivers of light. She noticed his stare. With weak hands, she pointed at her chest, then at him. Her glowing patterns brightened slightly as if reacting to his presence. Ryan shook his head in disbelief. Whatever bond had been created between them, it was something beyond his understanding. Then the ground trembled again. Not like before. This was heavier, rhythmic, measured. It was not an animal. It was machines. Ryan stood quickly, rifle ready. Through the trees, he saw faint red lights moving in the distance, shapes of tall armored figures marching in formation. They were not animals. They were soldiers. The alien girl's eyes widened with terror. She tried to speak, but her voice broke into a whisper. Only 2 words came through clearly. "Danger." More. Ryan's heart pounded. This was no accident. The crash, the creatures, the soldiers, they were all connected. Whoever these soldiers were, they were hunting her. And now, they would be hunting him too. He crouched beside her, gripping his weapon tight. "Don't worry," he muttered, though his own voice shook. "I'll get you out of this." But deep inside, he wondered if he had just stepped into a war he did not understand. And somewhere in the shadows, the glowing red eyes kept coming closer. The jungle grew darker as the night dragged on. Captain Ryan Cole moved carefully, his rifle always ready. The alien girl rested weakly in his arms, her glowing skin faint but steady. Behind them, The red lights of the soldiers had vanished into the storm. For now they were safe, but Ryan knew it would not last. They needed shelter. They needed answers. The girl stirred and pointed weakly through the thick forest. "They're safe," she whispered. Her voice cracked, but her eyes were firm. She wanted him to follow. Ryan hesitated, scanning the trees. "You better be right," he muttered. Still, he trusted her. She had led him away from danger once. Maybe she could do it again. He carried her deeper into the jungle, following the path she indicated. The trees grew taller, their glowing vines lighting the way. Strange creatures slithered in the shadows but kept their distance. It was as if the forest itself respected her presence. Finally, after hours of climbing, they reached a hidden valley. Ryan stopped in awe. It was like stepping into another world. The valley was wide and green, filled with giant flowers that glowed like lanterns. Waterfalls poured down from high cliffs, their mist shining in the moonlight. Small houses, built from living wood and crystal, stood between the trees. And everywhere, watching from the shadows, were figures. Ryan froze. Dozens of alien women stepped into the light. Their skin glowed with the same blue patterns as the girls, each one unique like living constellations. Their eyes followed him closely, wary but curious. Some held long crystal spears that shimmered faintly, weapons both beautiful and deadly. Ryan tightened his grip on his rifle, but the girl shook her head. "No, safe," she whispered again. She raised a weak hand toward the tribe, her voice breaking. "Home." The tribe moved forward silently, surrounding them. Ryan felt his heart pound. He had fought battles across many worlds, but never had he stood before something so strange, so mysterious. The alien women studied him as if he were the intruder. And he was. Then one figure stepped out from the crowd. She was older, her glowing patterns brighter, moving across her skin like waves of light. Her presence was strong, commanding. The other women bowed their heads slightly as she passed. She was their leader, her eyes locked onto Ryan. She spoke in a language he did not understand, soft, rhythmic like a song. The alien girl in his arms answered weakly, her voice trembling. The leader's eyes softened as she listened. She stepped closer, placing her glowing hand on the girl's forehead. A faint light passed between them and the girl sighed, finally relaxing in Ryan's arms. Then the leader turned to him. For a long moment she only studied him in silence. Her gaze was sharp, as if searching for something deep inside him. Finally she spoke in broken English, her voice low but clear. "You are the one?" Ryan frowned. "The one what?" The tribe murmured among themselves. Some looked afraid, others excited. The leader raised her hand, silencing them. She pointed to the glowing patterns on Ryan's arm, except there were none. Confused, Ryan looked down and saw a faint light across his skin, where the alien girl's blood had touched him earlier. The glowing marks pulsed, faint but real. Ryan's stomach tightened. "What the hell?" The leader's eyes narrowed. "Prophecy," she said. "Warrior from stars. Come to save." Ryan laughed bitterly, shaking his head. "You've got the wrong guy. I'm no savior. But his words stopped when the alien girl reached for his hand. Her fingers were cold, but her eyes were warm. She whispered, "You saved me, that—" Enough. The tribe's murmurs grew louder. Some of the women touched their glowing marks, whispering in awe. Others looked at him with suspicion, even anger. Clearly, not everyone believed the prophecy. Ryan felt the weight of their stares. He wanted to leave, to escape this strange place. But he also knew the soldiers were still out there hunting. If the tribe was hiding here, maybe they knew why. Maybe they had answers. The leader spoke again, her English struggling but clear enough. "Enemy, hunt us! Long time, kill many. But prophecies say, man from sky fight with us. Human." She looked directly into his eyes. "You." Ryan's throat went dry. He thought of the glowing soldiers he saw earlier, the way they marched with machines of war. Whoever they were, they had technology, weapons, and numbers. He was just one man. But when he looked at the alien girl, resting peacefully now among her people, he felt something stir inside him. Maybe it was duty. Maybe it was survival. Or maybe it was something else. Something deeper, something human. The leader raised her hand and the tribe fell silent. "You stay. You learn. You fight." Ryan took a deep breath, glancing around at the dozens of glowing eyes watching him. He knew he had no choice. He was already part of this story, whether he wanted it or not. Above the valley, lightning tore across the sky. The storm had not ended. It had only begun. And far beyond the cliffs, in the shadows of the jungle, red lights appeared once more. The soldiers were coming. The hidden valley was calm, but Captain Ryan Cole could feel the storm waiting outside. The alien tribe had given him shelter, but not peace. Every glance from their glowing eyes carried weight. Fear, doubt, hope. They did not see him as just a man. They saw him as something more. Something he never wanted to be. The leader, the elder woman with glowing patterns like rivers of light, guided him to a circular hall built of living wood and crystal. The walls pulsed faintly, alive with energy. Inside, the tribe gathered, sitting silently in a wide circle. At the center burned a strange fire, blue and silver, casting shadows that danced like ghosts. Ryan stood uneasily, his rifle slung over his shoulder. The alien girl he had rescued sat beside him, still weak but stronger than before. She looked at him often, as if drawing strength from his presence. He didn't understand it, but he didn't pull away either. The elder raised her staff, a long crystal that glowed like starlight. Her voice carried through the hall, rhythmic, almost like a chant. The language was alien, yet filled with power. Slowly, she switched to broken English so Ryan could understand. Long ago, our people lived free. We had light. We had peace. Her glowing patterns brightened as she spoke, showing visions in the air, shapes of women dancing in harmony, their skin alive with light. But then, they came. The fire flickered and the visions twisted into shadows. Dark-armored soldiers appeared in the glowing mist, tall, merciless, their eyes burning red. They came to take. They came to kill. The alien girl shivered at the sight. Ryan's hand tightened on his rifle. He had seen enemies before, but these were different. Cold, relentless. The elder's voice grew heavy. They hunt us. They want our light. They fear it, but also need it. Many tribes lost, many women taken. We hide, we fight, but we are few now. The visions dimmed, showing broken villages, falling warriors, endless defeat. Then the elder raised her staff again, her eyes fixed on Ryan. But prophecies say, one day warrior from stars will come. Not of our blood, not of our light. But he will fight beside us. He will turn the war. He will save. The hall went silent. Every eye turned to him. Ryan shook his head. No, that's not me. I'm just a soldier. I'm not whatever you think I am. The alien girl touched his arm gently. Her glowing skin left faint marks on his sleeve. You saved me, she whispered. That is start. Ryan looked around. Some women nodded in agreement. Others glared with distrust. He could feel the weight of expectation pressing down on him. He ran a hand through his wet hair and sighed. Listen, I didn't come here to be a hero. I just followed a signal. That's all. I don't even know who your enemy really is. The elder stepped closer, her glowing eyes sharp. You saw them. You felt them. Red soldiers. Machines of death. They follow her. She pointed at the alien girl. She is daughter of leader they killed. Last bloodline. They want her. Because she is hope. Ryan's stomach tightened. He looked at the girl again. She was watching him quietly, her eyes full of both sadness and trust. She was more than just a survivor. She was a symbol, a target. The elder lowered her staff. You cannot run. They will find her. They will find us. But with you, we may fight. Without you, we will fall. The hall erupted in murmurs, some voices hopeful, others fearful. Ryan stood frozen, the fire's glow reflecting in his eyes. He thought of Earth, of his empty missions, of the silence of space. He had left to escape responsibility. But here, on this forgotten world, responsibility had found him again. The alien girl leaned closer, whispering one word that struck him harder than any bullet. Stay. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, he spoke quietly, almost to himself. If I stay, if I fight, then we need to train. We need to prepare. Because I've seen soldiers like that before, and they don't stop. Not until everything is dead. The elder nodded slowly. Then you will teach us. Ryan hesitated. Teaching an entire tribe how to fight a war was madness, but he remembered the creatures in the jungle, the red soldiers marching, the terror in the girl's eyes. He couldn't walk away, not anymore. He sighed. Fine, I'll help. But don't call me your savior. I'm just a man trying to survive. The elder smiled faintly, her patterns glowing brighter. Sometimes That is enough. As the fire dimmed, thunder rolled across the valley. Outside, the storm grew stronger. And beyond the cliffs, the enemy's machines were already on the move. The prophecy had been spoken. The war was coming. The valley had been quiet for days, but Captain Ryan Cole knew silence could be deadly. The tribe trained with him every morning. He taught them how to hold weapons, how to move in formation, how to watch each other's backs. They were fast learners, their glowing bodies moving gracefully even in combat drills, but deep inside Ryan worried. These women were strong and brave, but they had never faced an army. One evening the sky turned red. At first it looked like a sunset. Then the ground shook. The waterfalls trembled, and the glowing plants dimmed as if hiding from the light. Ryan rushed to the cliffs and saw them. Dark ships descending from the clouds, their engines roaring like thunder. Metal beasts, armored and merciless, preparing for war. The alarm cry spread through the valley. Women grabbed their crystal spears. Others rushed to hide the children. The elder's voice carried through the chaos. "They come!" Ryan's heart pounded. He had seen invasions before. He knew what would follow, the fire, the screams, the endless killing. He turned to the tribe. "Listen to me, stay calm. Follow what I taught you. We fight together or we die alone." The women nodded, fear in their glowing eyes, but determination too. Even the alien girl, still weak from her wounds, stood among them with a spear in her hands. She met Ryan's gaze and whispered, "With you." The first enemy ship landed outside the valley. The ground shook as metal doors opened. Soldiers poured out, tall armored figures with burning red eyes, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Behind them came machines like walking towers, legs crushing trees as they moved. The battle had begun. Ryan shouted, "Positions!" The tribe spread across the valley entrance, hidden among rocks and trees. The enemy soldiers marched forward in perfect formation, unaware of the trap. Ryan raised his hand, waited until they were close, then dropped it. Now! A storm of crystal spears and arrows rained down, glowing as they struck. Several soldiers fell, their armor sparking with energy. The others roared and fired back, red beams cutting through the jungle. Trees exploded, rocks shattered, the ground burned. Ryan returned fire with his rifle, each shot echoing through the valley. He moved quickly, teaching by example, never standing still, always watching for cover. The women followed his lead, moving with surprising speed and precision. Their glowing skin made them targets but also weapons, their light blinding the enemy in close combat. The alien girl fought near him. She moved weakly at first, but then something strange happened. Her glowing patterns flared brighter, her hands sparking with energy. When an enemy soldier aimed at Ryan, she raised her palm, and a surge of blue light blasted from her skin, striking the weapon and melting it into useless metal. Ryan stared in shock. "What the hell?" She looked at him, breathing hard, and whispered, "Power of my people." Before he could answer, the ground shook again. One of the enemy war machines stepped into the valley, its metal legs crashing through the forest. Its cannon glowed red, charging for a devastating shot. Ryan shouted, "Take cover!" The blast fired, tearing a crater into the earth. The shockwave threw several women to the ground. Screams filled the air. Ryan gritted his teeth and charged forward, firing at the machine's joints. The bullet sparked but did little damage, too strong. One of the women cried. Ryan's mind raced. Machines had weaknesses, always. He spotted glowing vents along its side. Heat exhausts. He shouted to the women, "Aim for the glowing spots." Together they focused their attacks. Spears of light, arrows of crystal, bursts of Ryan's rifle fire, all targeted the weak points. The machine staggered, its red lights flickering. Then the alien girl stepped forward again. Her body shone brighter than ever, light pouring from her like a star. She raised both hands and a massive wave of energy burst outward, slamming into the machine. With a deafening roar, it collapsed, flames exploding from its core. The valley shook with victory cries. But Ryan knew it was only the beginning. From the sky, more ships descended. More soldiers marched. The elder's voice broke through the chaos. "They send army!" Endless. Ryan's chest tightened. He turned to the tribe. "Fall back! Protect the children. This isn't the last fight. We have to survive this one." But as he gave the order, heavy steps echoed behind him. He spun around and froze. The enemy commander stood there, taller than the others, his armor dark as night, his eyes burning like fire. He carried a massive blade that glowed with red energy. Before Ryan could react, the commander moved with terrifying speed. He struck Ryan's rifle aside and slammed him to the ground. Pain shot through his body. The alien girl screamed his name, but the commander grabbed him by the throat, lifting him high. His voice was cold, mechanical, and full of hate. "You," the commander growled, "are the human we were warned about." Ryan gasped for air, his vision blurring. The commander's grip tightened. "You," the enemy said, "are the greatest threat to our empire." The world spun in and out of focus as Captain Ryan Cole struggled against the iron grip of the enemy commander. The alien giant's red eyes burned like fire as he dragged Ryan across the battlefield. The tribe's shouts echoed behind him, but they were fading, drowned by the sound of enemy machines and weapons. Ryan's vision blurred. He saw the alien girl fighting through the chaos, light pouring from her hands as she struck down soldiers. But she was too far away. The commander tightened his grip and everything went black. Ryan woke in silence. Cold metal pressed against his back. His arms and legs were bound in chains that glowed with red energy, sapping his strength. He lay inside a dark chamber, the walls humming with power. The air was heavy, poisoned by the stench of oil and burning metal. Across from him stood the enemy commander, watching like a predator. "You humans," the commander said, his voice deep and mechanical, "should have stayed in your corner of the galaxy." Ryan forced himself to sit upright. "Why me? Why are you after them?" His voice was hoarse but defiant. The commander stepped closer. "Her people hold power older than your species can imagine. Their light, it fuels life itself. We take it, we use it. It makes us strong. Without it, we would fall. That is why we hunt them. That is why we destroy them." Ryan clenched his fists. "So you kill them for power? That's your empire?" The commander's eyes narrowed. "We do not fear many. But humans..." He paused, studying Ryan carefully. "Humans are different. Weak flesh, short lives, but endless hunger to rise, to fight, to adapt. Empires fall when humans are near. That is why you must die." Ryan's blood ran cold. The enemy didn't just want the tribe. They feared him. Before the commander could strike, the chamber doors hissed open. A faint blue glow filled the room. The alien girl stood there. Her face was pale, her body trembling from exhaustion, but her eyes blazed with determination. Somehow she had slipped into the heart of the enemy ship. Ryan's eyes widened. "No, you shouldn't be here," the commander snarled. "Foolish child." He raised his weapon, but the girl unleashed a burst of light that blinded him for an instant. She dashed forward, her hands glowing, and shattered Ryan's chains with a single strike. Ryan stumbled to his feet, his arms burning from the release. "You risked everything," she grabbed his hand firmly. "Not risk, choice, you saved me. Now I save you," the commander roared, swinging his blade with deadly force. Ryan pulled the girl behind him and rolled aside, barely avoiding the strike. The floor cracked where the weapon hit. Ryan grabbed a broken piece of chain, wrapping it around his fist. "We can't win this fight," he growled. "We need to get out." Together they ran through the corridors of the enemy ship. Sirens blared, red lights flashed. Soldiers rushed after them, weapons firing. The girl's light shielded them, deflecting blasts while Ryan fought with fists, chains, and stolen rifles. They burst out onto a landing bay, where rows of enemy ships stood ready. Outside the open gates, Ryan could see the valley burning. The tribe was still fighting desperately against endless waves of soldiers. Ryan's chest tightened. He couldn't leave them. He turned to the girl. "Listen, you have to go. Get to your people. They need you alive," her eyes widened. "And you?" Ryan looked back at the chaos below. His hands shook, not from fear but from choice. Someone has to hold them off. Someone has to buy you time. The girl shook her head, tears glimmering in her glowing eyes. "No, together." Ryan's jaw clenched. "If we both stay, we both die. And then your people have no hope." She stared at him, torn between fear and trust. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Sometimes sacrifice is the only way forward. That's what being human means." Before she could answer, enemy soldiers stormed into the bay. Ryan raised the stolen rifle, firing wildly. He shouted over the noise, "Go! Lead them, don't waste my choice." The girl hesitated for a heartbeat, but then her glowing patterns flared, brighter than ever. She nodded once, her lips trembling. "I will not forget." She turned and sprinted toward the edge of the bay. With a burst of light, she leapt into the night sky, her body shining like a falling star. Ryan stood alone, facing the soldiers. His rifle clicked empty, but he didn't lower it. His eyes burned with defiance. "Come on then," he muttered. "Let's see what your empire fears so much." The enemy commander stepped forward, blade raised. His red eyes locked on Ryan. The landing base shook with battle cries, and far below, in the burning valley, the tribe looked up and saw a blue light cutting through the sky, hope escaping into the night. The night sky burned with fire. Enemy ships hovered above the valley, pouring destruction on everything below. Trees collapsed in flames, waterfalls boiled into steam, and the air shook with endless roars of war machines. The tribe fought fiercely, their glowing spears cutting through enemy ranks, but their numbers were too few. Then a flash of blue light streaked across the battlefield. The alien girl landed among her people, her body shining brighter than ever. The tribe gasped in awe. To them, she was more than a survivor. She was a living flame, a symbol of hope. She raised her hands and light surged outward, forming a shield that blocked the enemy's fire. But her heart ached. Ryan was still on the enemy ship, facing death alone. Inside that same ship, Ryan Cole fought with everything he had left. His body was bruised, his rifle broken, but his fists, his fury, and his will refused to surrender. Every enemy soldier that came through the bay fell to his desperate strikes. The commander stood at the center, watching coldly. "You cannot stop us, human. You fight alone." Ryan spat blood and raised his fists again. "Alone's how I've always fought." The commander charged, blade glowing red. Sparks flew as Ryan dodged, countered, and struck with all his strength. The clash was brutal, each strike shaking the bay. Ryan knew he couldn't win in strength, but he didn't need to. He only needed to hold on long enough, because far below, the tribe was rising. The alien girl led the women into battle with newfound courage. Inspired by Ryan's sacrifice, they fought like never before. Spears glowed, arrows burned, and their voices rose together in a battle cry that shook the valley. Even the elder, her staff blazing with light, joined the fight, striking down enemies with waves of energy. The enemy machines tried to crush them, but the girl's power flared brighter. Her light spread across the battlefield, turning fear into fire, weakness into strength. Where she walked, the tribe fought harder, stronger, faster. Still, the enemy pushed forward. Their numbers were endless, their machines relentless. Then the sky split apart. Ryan's stolen fighter craft roared down from above, engines screaming. He had fought his way to the hangar, stolen the ship, and now he came crashing back into the valley. The craft fired its cannons, tearing through enemy lines, explosions shaking the ground. The tribe cheered, their hope reborn. The alien girl looked up, tears glowing in her eyes. "He returned." Ryan's fighter landed hard, smoking from damage. He stumbled out, armor scorched, face bloodied but alive. The tribe rushed to him, but he only lifted a hand. "No time for greetings," he said hoarsely. "This ends now." The commander descended from the sky on a hover platform, his blade shining like a red star. Soldiers spread behind him, their eyes fixed on Ryan. The elder raised her staff. The girl stepped to Ryan's side. The tribe gathered, ready. This was it, the final stand. The battlefield erupted. Ryan charged with the tribe, fighting shoulder to shoulder with them. His fists and stolen blades struck with human fury, while the women's glowing spears lit the night. The alien girl's power surged like a storm, melting weapons, breaking machines. Together they pushed back wave after wave, but the commander was unstoppable. He cut through warriors with his blade, his armor shrugging off attacks. His red eyes locked on Ryan again. "Human, your kind should bow before us." Ryan snarled. "Humans don't bow. We stand." The two clashed in the center of the battlefield. Sparks lit the sky as steel met energy. Each strike shook Ryan's bones, but he refused to fall. The commander was stronger, faster, armored, but Ryan had something else. He had purpose. As the commander raised his blade for the final strike, the alien girl leapt forward. Her entire body flared with blinding light, brighter than the sun. She slammed her hands against the commander's chest, pouring all her power into one final burst. The commander screamed as cracks split across his armor. Ryan roared and drove his blade through the opening, straight into the monster's core. The commander's eyes went wide. His body shook, red light dying into smoke. With a final roar, he collapsed, his blade fading into dust. The battlefield fell silent. The enemy soldiers froze, their leader gone. Without command, they broke ranks, retreating into the jungle, their ships fleeing into the sky. The tribe stood together, watching as the darkness lifted. They had won. In the silence after battle, Ryan dropped to his knees, exhausted. The alien girl caught him, holding him close. Her glowing tears fell onto his bruised skin. "You saved us," she whispered. Ryan shook his head weakly. "No, we saved each other." The elder stepped forward, her staff glowing faintly. She raised her voice so all could hear. "From this day, he is not only human. He is one of us. Tribe, family, warrior." The women cheered, their glowing bodies lighting the valley like stars. Ryan looked at the alien girl, still holding him tightly. She smiled softly, her patterns glowing brighter. "This is not the end," she said. "This is only the beginning." Ryan glanced at the sky where enemy ships had fled into the darkness. He knew they would return. They always did. But now he wasn't alone. For the first time in his life, he felt he had found something worth fighting for, something worth dying for. And as the night sky cleared, the valley glowed with hope. The final stand had been won. But the real war had just begun.